You know, ever since our primary win, it's been amazing how many people have come up and said, you know, isn't it great that Dan Cox won and you're running against Dan Cox in the general? My answer is clear and it is consistent. Do not underestimate what we're against. Do not underestimate what we are up against. It is not great that come November we are running against an election denier. You know, for me, patriotism meant leaving my family and putting on our nation's uniform and serving with the 82nd Airborne Division in Afghanistan. But let's be clear, for our opponent, patriotism for him means organizing buses to join him on January 6th.
That is the Democratic nominee for Maryland Governor Wes Moore speaking ahead of President Biden at a rally last month in Rockville, Maryland. His opponent, Dan Cox, is an election denier endorsed by former President Trump. But new polling shows the big lie is not resonating with voters in Maryland. The survey from Goucher College finds Moore has a 22-point lead over Cox. And Wes Moore joins us now. Wes, it's good to see you. 22-point spread there. You're out raising 10-1 against Cox. The sitting Republican governor, Larry Hogan, has called Cox a, quote, QAnon whack job and has suggested perhaps he might support you, though won't make an official endorsement. What's your take on the state of the race?
Take on the state of the race, and first, it's great to see you. But the state of the race is, you know, I think the numbers confirm something that we have been seeing all over the state, is that you know, my opponent's message is not resonating. That we are running against someone who voted against a bill that would have banned spousal rape. That we're running against someone who believes that all abortions should be criminalized for both the patient and the provider, even in the case of incest and rape. Someone who, like you mentioned, the current governor, said that not only is he not going to support him, but he wouldn't even give him a tour of the governor's office. But the thing I think we're also continuing to see around the state of Maryland is, and why we feel very good about where we are, is that we're not asking people to support our campaign because they should be afraid of something. You know, we're asking them to support our campaign because they should believe in something. That we are running on an agenda, a leave no one behind agenda, that actually I learned when I was in the military, that our North Star is going to be creating pathways for work, wages, and wealth for all families. That we want their support not because they're scared of the alternative, but because they're hopeful for what we can get done together.
So, Wes, give us a little bit of sense as to what the biggest challenges Maryland residents face today. And certainly you just noted that the Republicans, and particularly your opponent, seem to be out of step with a lot of beliefs held by those in the state. But one thing that everyone's battling right now, rising prices, inflation. How do you combat that?
Yeah, and it's important because that's how we actually started the foundation of our campaign, that this is about economics. This is about the fact that when people say things feel more expensive, that they are. And so for working families, we've got to find ways of creating better supports. And that means getting people back to work, focusing on job retraining and job reskilling, fixing a broken child care system, because one of the biggest challenges we have of getting people employed is if you don't have a strong child care system, you're not going to have a chance for people to return back to the workforce. And oftentimes we're talking about women. It means being able to raise wages and getting Maryland to a $15 minimum wage by next year, because we have still too many people in our state who are working, and in some cases working multiple jobs, and still living below a poverty line. And I saw that with my own family. My mother didn't get her first job that gave her benefits until I was 14 years old. And this is a woman who went on to earn a master's degree. So this is real. It is something that has been a generational challenge. But if we can focus on work, wages, and wealth for all Maryland families and pathways and leaving no one behind in that conversation, then this is a generational opportunity to address those generational challenges.
Wes, I want to ask you about one of the most important aspects of your state, of any state, and that's kids who have gone through remote learning for a couple of years. Let's say from grades, they're now in grades 5 through 8 or first year of high school or whatever. What's the plan for them in terms of evening out the discrepancy between going to grammar school or high school in Baltimore as opposed to Chevy Chase or Bethesda? What's their future?
This discrepancy is heartbreaking, and I know it is to you too, Mike. And this has also been my life's work, where, you know, I know there's two things that saved me. A mother that wouldn't quit, and an education system that taught me that the world was bigger than what was directly in front of me. And when you watch what's happened to children over these past years, it's not just heartbreaking, it's unfair. And the reality is we do have real resources now, even federal resources, that are specifically earmarked towards things like learning loss, towards things like advanced tutoring and after-school programming. But there also need to be real structural changes that we've got to make within our education system. And that includes things like making sure that we can have free pre-K for every single child in need in the state of Maryland. You know, the research is also very clear. 80% of brain development happens in a child by the time that child is 5 years old. So why we have children starting school at 5 makes absolutely no sense. It means we have to do a better job of getting people prepared for the workforce. Right now in the state of Maryland, we have 2 available jobs for every single person filing for unemployment. And so that basically means we have a dynamic economy, but we're not preparing our children to participate. And so that means investing in things like apprenticeship programs and trade programs, creating economic pathways. And also, Maryland is going to be the first state in this country to have a service year option for every single high school graduate, where I want for every high school graduate to have a chance to have a paid year of service to the state of Maryland, and they can choose however they want to do it, in the environment, education, housing, their choice. And we're going to do it because I believe deeply in experiential learning. We're going to do it because it helps to address the college affordability crisis. And we're going to do it because service is sticky. And those who serve together generally stay together. In this time of political divisiveness and vitriol, I believe deeply that service will help to save us.
Wes, what is your vision of the economic future of Maryland? 40 years ago, Baltimore was a manufacturing city. Those factories are gone now. What sector do you see coming in or being developed that's going to lead the way into the future for Maryland?
Yeah, I am so excited about our economic future because, you know, the thing about the state of Maryland, if you look at our assets that we have right now, you know, Maryland is literally the home of the NIH and the CDC and APL and the NSA and NASA. And I think every acronym in the world exists in the state of Maryland. But the challenge that we have right now in Maryland is we are asset rich and we are strategy poor. Right? We're not investing in these core assets in the way they need to be invested in. So if you look at the future of everything from biotech to cyber tech to agri-health to how we're thinking about our manufacturing base, we've got the core foundational assets right there. And to include the fact that this is the home of the Port of Baltimore, the shared home of the Chesapeake Bay. So we have a growing and a dynamic economy where we need to be able to invest in our institutions of higher education, create more liquidity for our small businesses, create more incentives for people to be able to grow their businesses and stay here. And then, frankly, for people who are in all other states, and particularly other states where we're watching, governors who are using state resources and state assets to make political statements. My answer to you is this: come to Maryland, because every time we go to one of their states, I'm bringing 3 businesses with me and I'm bringing them back to Maryland.
Democratic nominee for governor of Maryland, polling well right now, but as he will tell you, a lot of time between now and Election Day. Wes Moore, Wes, great to see you. Thanks so much.
It's great to see you.
Coming up next, legendary documentary filmmaker Ken Burns joins us with a look at his powerful new project. Also ahead, NATO's Secretary General joins us at the top of the hour. He's in New York City this morning for the UN General Assembly, where President Biden will speak tomorrow. Morning Joe's coming right back.